Alright, so we're gonna get in another quick flight with the Eagle. It just rained a few minutes ago. It stopped raining maybe 15 minutes ago, so the grass is a little bit wet. There's a lot of moisture in the air, humidity. Got some clouds over there. Now we do have a GPS lock. It's not very good. Only have 6 satellites, and the HDOP is not very low. But we're gonna go ahead and arm it and get it in the air, and hopefully we'll pick up a few more satellites along the way. But if not, it'll be fine.
Engines armed.
I guess. So let's go ahead and get on with it. I'm going to take off
Angle mode.
in angle mode, and then we'll be on our way. You can hear my diversity controller over there going crazy, looking for a good video signal. We actually kind of flew out off the side of the antennas during that takeoff, which is what that's all about. So the air is a little bit bumpy up here, as I expected, because like right out there is a big thunderstorm that just passed over, and we're kind of on the tail end of it. But I want to fly, so we're going to fly. See, it's not looking too bad. I don't think we're going to get any more rain or heavy wind or anything like that from it. I think all the weather threat has passed us, so we should be okay for a good flight. At least that's the plan. I'm going to go ahead and switch into cruise.
Cruise.
And we're going to kind of cruise around and enjoy the little airplane. And yeah, you see we're already up to 8 satellites now, and HDOP is down to 2.0, which is still not great, but it should be sufficient. I guess probably all the heavy clouds and things like that have some effect. You see the airplane is getting bumped around quite a bit. Now I do still have my wind speed indicator showing on the OSD there, but I'm not exactly sure how accurate it is, because there is a little bit of wind gusts coming and going here and there. I do think there's a little bit more than 0.4 miles per hour wind, but that's what it's reporting, so who knows. I mentioned previously that I used the wind speed indicator using estimated wind speed in ArduPilot, and for what it's worth, I do believe that one seemed to be a little bit more reliable, a bit more accurate. Now I'm going to climb up to about 200 or so feet here. I don't want to cruise much higher than that. I just kind of like cruising around a little bit lower, but although I am getting a little bit higher out here, a little bit more altitude, just to kind of help with my RSSI and things like that. Because again, I am flying with the R9, just stock R9 module in my radio, and a R9MM receiver embedded in the vertical stabilizer, the rudder on the airplane, and I am inside my shop, so that has some effect on it as well. So I noticed that I fly a little bit more altitude gives a little bit better chance of getting a good signal. But I'm not exactly sure where we're going to fly. I don't really have anything planned for this flight. I just kind of want to get more time on the little airplane and see how it flies and enjoy it. Now I do notice my ground speed right now. We were sitting around like 44 to 45, down to 43 miles per hour. That is a little bit higher than the thing usually cruises, this little Eagle. So I am going to turn back towards home and see. Yeah, my ground speed has dropped down into the low 30s now. 31, 30, 31. So we definitely do have more than a 0.4 mile per hour wind. See, I do want to be mindful of that. I don't want to venture out too far downwind out here and get called if some more gusts or something like that do come up. As you can see, there is still a rather large storm system out there. But, you know, I'm just kind of talking about the wind speed indicator. Mostly it doesn't seem to be too accurate. So I'm not going to rely on that for sure. I will probably maybe just disable it, not even have it on the OSD if I can't really rely on it. I see what appears to be an animal down there, perhaps, on the road. Or maybe it wasn't. I think it might have actually been the end of a culvert going under the roadway there, which wasn't there before. It's something they recently put in there. Yeah, that's what I was seeing. That little black end of that culvert I thought was actually an animal in the edge of the field. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to rely on that wind speed. For what it's worth, the direction does seem to be somewhat accurate, but or is it? Well, it just jumped up to 2.5 miles per hour and changed directions at random. So yeah, I'm not too enthused about that wind speed indicator. Perhaps that's something that could be worked on in the future. Although, I'm not the one to ask for it. I'm just appreciative. I just appreciate the work that the developers do. So I'm not going to be one to complain if something like that doesn't work. But I do think it's worth noting, don't rely on that wind speed, at least for this particular setup. Maybe come check out some of the little ponds out here. I'm not really too sure how good the R9 system is for range in different directions. I haven't really flown a lot with it. I've made a few flights out, 2 or 3 miles or so, no problem. But I do know that even my 1.3 gigahertz video, it's not unusual for me to have issues flying out over this particular area out here. I do like to fly out here. It's kind of an interesting place, a little bit more interesting terrain to look at. But I do have issues with my signals out here just because of some of the obstacles in the way between me and this area. So I'm not going to venture too far out there. And I do feel like the airplane is getting rocked around quite a bit more out in this area too. Or now, rather. Not necessarily specific to this area. But there is some wind kind of coming and going. But yeah, as far as iNav goes, man, I'm really happy with the way 3.0 is flying. And like I said, I haven't updated this one. The previous version I had on this particular airplane was 2.2.1. So obviously there's been a lot of development in iNav since that version. But I had what I think was 2.6 on my Dart 250. That's what I flew it with. And it worked well, but I don't remember it working this well. Maybe it did. I don't know. But like I said, for what it's worth, I'm really happy with 3.0. And yeah, we're kind of losing video in and out over in this area, but I did want to fly out and check out this large section of land here, which was recently cleared. Actually going to gain some altitude here. Going to climb up to about 300 or so feet, because I do want to make a few circuits around here and just kind of see what's going on, see what's changed. Looks like they're finished clearing all the land out here. Yeah, we're going to level off now at about 320 or so. 315 or so, I think, is where I released the stick. Maybe it was closer to 300, I don't know. We'll see where it settles and leave it there. But yeah, it looks like they pretty much finished clearing all this land. I guess they do have a little bit more cleanup to finish. So all this section here used to be wooded, like all of that one straight ahead. See, that's actually piles of wood that they've cleared and piled up and burned. You can see kind of the burn piles of ashes out here, what's left of it. So I guess all that land out there is going to stay wooded for hunting and things like that. And all this other land has gotten cleared. I believe they're going to start farming it along with some of the other farmland. So I guess we're going to cruise back around here along this way. Looks like they've already started cutting some drainage ditches through it as well, which is kind of what's down here just off the nose this way. Not sure what that is unless it's a piece of equipment that they left out there. Right on that corner of the woods. I'm actually hearing a lot of thunder right now. I'm not sure if it's going to come across on my mic or not. But I do hear a lot of thunder out there in that direction. Yeah, you can see that storm system is still quite active. That's probably what I'm hearing. My OSD is now flickering for some reason. Don't know why. So yeah, I'm going to leave the airplane generally pointed home, and I'm going to open my weather radar, and check that real quick. Just make sure it's not getting a little bit closer to us than I would like. It doesn't look like it's moving any closer, but you can, let me put this over on the screen where you can see. I need to actually close that window. I'm not sure if I can show it on screen. Let me open this one. If I go back to turn this one off, minimize that, and yeah, there's our weather radar. So you can see I'm on the little blue dot there, right in this area, and that's the storm system that I'm somewhat concerned about and paying attention to. So we'll go back to the flying footage now. So as you can see on the radar there, it looked like it's definitely moving away and we shouldn't have anything to worry about, but I do just want to keep an eye out on it. Make sure it doesn't kind of form up something else out here behind it, catch me off guard. So how long have we been in the air for? 11:45? I do want to go back to angle mode. And I just want to see how it holds its altitude. You can see just how much the wind is pushing us off course now once I switch to angle mode. It almost feels like the airplane is flying sideways. Kind of funny. Now I want to go to manual mode. Manual. Yeah, you can see well, actually I need to give it more throttle. We're getting rocked all over the place in the wind here. So let me throttle back up to 5 or so amps. 6. I'm pointing back in the wind. I want to go back to angle mode. And you can see the wind just immediately starts pushing it over in angle mode. But you can see how much more stable the airplane looks. iNav is doing a great job after it's the auto tune. So now I'm going to go back to manual. And yeah, there's no trim change. That's what I was looking for. I just want to see how long it can fly hands off in manual before the wind upsets it. It's still hands off. I've never touched the stick since I switched to manual. The only thing, the course seems to be changing a little bit. I guess it's being blown off course. So I'm going to go back to angle mode. And you see we are gaining a little bit of altitude. So I'm going to point the airplane back home. And I'm going to make sure we don't gain too much altitude. But yeah, we are slowly gaining altitude. So I am going to push it back down and level off at about 300. So I've released the sticks at about 290 or so. Yeah, it's slowly gaining altitude, and that's what I want to see if it will correct itself. That's what the auto level feature that tunes the board, the pitch level for the accelerometers. And yes, you can see it has angle, it has level right off. See, I like that feature. It takes a minute to catch up, but it settles right down, right where it needs to be. So now I'm going to go back to cruise. And there's basically no change other than it starts holding its course, and I guess it makes it a point to hold its altitude. think I saw it just lightning in that storm out there. See, I guess we're just kind of cruising around. Gonna make it a point to once again run the battery down to about 13.5 volts or so, just like we did on the last flight, which is where the video noise usually starts to come in. And I just want to see if that's still cleared up. Now, I do see a little bit of noise in the video right now, but it's pretty well perfect. Almost perfect. Possibly as close as I've ever gotten on my video systems to perfect. So I'm 100% happy with that, as long as it can maintain the video signal quality. I like that. You can see a little reflection in the side of my 3D printed plastic vent on the canopy there. It's a little reflection of the sunset. You can actually see it better in the reflection, more detail than you can here. Kind of blowing the camera out a little bit when you look directly into it. But the reflection on that black printed canopy shows up a little better. Kind of cool, kind of neat. Now I've noticed my ground speed indicator, or my airspeed, wind speed indicator is all over the place still. Now it's showing 14.8 miles per hour, which is probably a little bit closer to reality, but it took it way too long. Now it's jumped up to 19 miles an hour, so who knows? I don't think the wind's blowing that high, that fast. So who knows? I'm definitely not going to rely on that. I'm probably going to take that off the OSD. And we're not going to use that for anything important. Now I do notice these this cloud front forming this way. Behind me. Well, in front of me now, but behind where we were flying. I'm going to once again pull up my radar. And see what's up with that. Make sure there isn't something else forming up here. That would be in this direction out here. Which, no, I don't see anything. I'm actually going to drag this over to my other monitor where I can keep it open. You won't have to see it, but I'll have it open so that I can keep an eye on it. Yeah, we're at 13.5 volts right now, in fact. And the video still looks good. 13.4 now. Yeah, there's definitely some heavy rain out that way. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and call it. It's going to be a nice 20-minute or so flight by the time we end it and get back on the ground and end the video, or 20-minute video rather. Guess I'll go ahead and drop to angle mode and start a descent. I'm gonna go ahead and cut power and let it drop the nose. Yeah, we definitely have a wind pushing us back this way. If I line back up in the field here and just glide, you can see we're kind of flying sideways. Yeah, it's definitely pushing us sideways. And now we're indicating 24.4 miles per hour wind, which I believe is definitely not accurate. Although we are almost stopping here. So yeah, this wind is definitely picking up. You can see my ground speed dropped quite a bit. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and push the nose down, throttle up, and get back this way. And get the airplane landed. And end the flight. So while we do that, I'll take the time as usual to thank you for watching the video. Any questions, comments, drop them below the video. And of course, thank you to all of my YouTube channel members and Patreon pledges who make this all possible and let me keep funding this whole little adventure into FPV that's been going on for well over a decade now. So I'm eternally grateful to all of you for that. And kind of curious where we're going to go in the future. I kind of mentioned on the Discord for some of the Patreon pledges and channel members are there on Discord. I mentioned to some of the people there just recently, just earlier today, in fact, that the Reptile Dragon, I actually intended to fly it today while the weather was flyable. But I ran into an issue with it. One of my motors wasn't running. It seems like I have maybe a broken wire or something. It's acts like as if there's no signal to that ESC. So I need to pull it apart and figure that out. I'm actually considering pulling the vector out and rewiring the whole thing with a Maytech flight controller and running iNav on it, just to kind of continue my adventure into iNav 3.0 and see what that's gonna do for it. But that will come in the future. That won't be right away. Nice little landing. See if I can keep my momentum up and get it taxi back.
Battery critical.
Yeah, we knew. So that's going to be the end of another flight. Made it back to the shop. Didn't get rained on. Successful flight. Pretty fun stuff. Go ahead and disarm.
Engines disarmed.
There's my summary screen. There's the rest of my summary screen if you're curious. Yeah. Thank you for watching the video. Like I said, it's kind of a little preview of what may be coming in the future. Thank you for watching this one, and keep an eye out for what's to come. So I will see you all then.